Good morning, everyone. So, a few weeks ago, my wife and I, we wanted to go away for the weekend, so we decided to rent a car. Unfortunately, not this car. It's Formula One week in Singapore in a couple of weeks. So I said to my wife, I'm going to book the car and I'm going to use this wonderful digital experience. The rent-a-car company has an app. So I'm going to use the app because I'm head of digital and it's going to be a fantastic digital experience. So I booked the car through the app and I had my driving license. And it took a photograph of my driving license, and I said, oh, this is fantastic. It's AI, OCR, it will recognize my driving license, and it'll be completely automated. I'm so excited by this digital experience. So I hit enter, and it said processing, waited 1 hour, still processing, waited 1 day, still processing. So my wife said, what's going on? What's happening with the car for our weekend? I said, don't worry, technology, it's fine. It's all digital. It's going to be fine. But it came to Friday, and it was still processing. So she said, you better call them. Use the phone, the traditional phone. So I called him, and I said, what's happening to the car? And he said, oh, I have to process your driving license. And I said, what do you mean, process my driving license? I thought it's AI, it's all automated. He said, oh, no, it's completely manual. It's just the same as before, but now we have an app. So I said, oh, okay. So it's pretty disappointing. But anyway, we could book the car. So Saturday, I went to collect the car, and I thought, oh, I just use the app. I'll open the door. I won't meet anyone. It will be completely automated. And my friend, he came, he said, oh, hello. Here's the keys. And he gave me the keys. And I said, but what's the difference between just the usual experience, the manual experience, and your app? And he said, oh, there's no difference at all, but all the car companies have apps. So we thought we would develop an app. I thought, oh, okay. So today I want to ask the question, when we have new technology, is technology actually useless? And what does it mean to move from a legacy to our future using technology? And why do we have experiences like the rent-a-car? So I was in an insurance company recently in the operations department in underwriting. And I saw this, and I wondered, what is this? So I called the head of operations. I said, what is this? And he said, oh, this is a technology we introduced about 10 years ago called robots, RPA. And the robots copy the human entry. So he said, oh, we automated all the humans, and this is the humans' laptops we put into boxes. So I said, oh, that sounds great. You must have got huge improvements in efficiency. And he said, oh, no, we only got 2.3% improvement. Hardly anything, given all of the money we invested. This reminded me of a management guru, Peter Drucker, who said that there is nothing so useless to do something efficiently which doesn't need to be done at all. So we think about the car, we think about the laptop. What do they have in common? What they have in common is we are trying to automate exactly the same processes as we had before, just we are introducing new technology. I want to go back 200 years to the age of steam. This is another example. If you walked into a factory anywhere in the world 200 years ago, it would look like this. It would be dark, very noisy, very dirty. And in the middle of the factory was a big steam engine. The steam engine ran the whole factory. If the steam engine broke, the whole factory broke down. Everything depended on the one centralized steam engine. And then some new technology came along, electricity. And by the end of the 19th century, Thomas Edison had built 2 power generating stations, one in London and one in New York. He had commoditized electricity. Yet, what happened was there was no immediate improvement in efficiency. And as American factories entered the 20th century, there was very, very small improvement in efficiency. Steam lingered on for some reason. So I have talked about 3 examples: electricity replacing steam as new technology, RPA robots replacing people for the laptops, and my case of car hire. It seems when we introduce new technology, we don't always get the benefit, at least not so quickly. So what is happening? What is going wrong? Maybe the technology doesn't work as we expect it. Maybe we are measuring the technology in the wrong way, and we need to measure productivity in some other way. I live in Singapore. If you ever visit Singapore, you must visit the Botanical Gardens. It's a beautiful park in Singapore. And during COVID, I used to walk in the Botanical Gardens at night with my wife. And one night we were walking through the Botanical Gardens. We could hear all the noises of the animals, like a jungle. And suddenly we heard a very strange noise. It was a mechanical noise which didn't sound like an animal. And as we looked in the distance, we could see a light flickering. Now, my wife is very superstitious, and she said, "Oh, it's some evil spirit. We got to run away." But upon closer examination, I could see it was not an evil spirit, but it was a robot cutting the grass. And the light was at the front. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. Fully automated, it charges itself. But I noticed something was missing. Something was wrong with this. When I was a student at university, I used to be a gardener. And I used to cut grass. And when I cut grass, I used to use this manual device, pushed it along. And you cut grass once a week or once a month, depending on the season. And the grass trimmings collects in the back, in the black thing. And you pick it up and you empty it. And you need the black box because if you cut the grass once a week or once a month, if you leave it on top of the fresh grass, it will die. The fresh grass will die, so you have to collect it. So back to this one, I thought, there's no black box. Where does the fresh grass go? And then it struck me. What happened was the administrators of the park, they had reimagined the process of cutting grass. They realized if they cut grass every day instead of weekly or monthly, then the trimmings are very small and they can leave the trimmings on the grass. So you don't need humans to cut the grass. You can leave it at night, very few customers coming to the park, and it recharges itself. They reimagined the process and they could get significant efficiency in something as simple as cutting grass. Let's go back to our example of steam. By 1909, suddenly, American industry productivity took off. Something had changed. Before, entrepreneurs looked at electricity and they tried to use electricity in exactly the same way as they were using steam. They replaced a big steam engine with an electric motor, so they didn't get much efficiency. The magic of electricity is miniaturization. You can have an electric motor for each workstation. And so this lady at her workstation is completely independent to every other workstation. Finally, entrepreneurs reimagined how factories worked to use the new technology. They threw away the old processes. So now, the woman polishing the jewelry in this picture, she can work independently of everyone else. So the factories could run shifts. If her workstation broke down, she didn't interrupt the rest of the factory. The rest of the factory could continue independently of her. And so productivity took off. So what is happening here? Why is for the new tech and benefit realization, what do we need to do? What do we need to think of? There is an academic in Stanford University called Eric Bridge-Nolson. He has studied the concept of new technology and the introduction of new technology and why it doesn't return big returns to start with. And he has four reasons he thinks. He calls them intangibles. The first is the existing processes, thinking about changing existing processes. If we don't change existing processes, we won't get the best out of the new technology. The second thing is adopting new business models. How can we expect new technology to work with exactly the same business models as we were using? And then, what about our talent? Do our people understand how to use the new technology? And finally, our organization. Should we have the same organization as before? So, I don't know, many of you have heard of BlackBerry. This is... you can't see it. This is my BlackBerry. 15 years ago, I lived by this device. And 15 years ago, Steve Jobs came along with an iPhone, and we thought, who needs an iPhone? Who needs to look at videos in the office? There's absolutely no application for that. But of course, now nobody has heard of BlackBerry. Very few people in this room, perhaps. So this was ubiquitous. I lived by this. Steve Jobs, though, he realized the power of thinking differently. He realized that the smartphone had so many applications, he had to change the business model of smartphones. And there were so many applications, he decided to ask his customers, the users, to come up with ideas. And he conceived of the App Store. And then, of course, the rest is history. That was the end of the BlackBerry, new business models. So my childhood, this is from my museum. This is called a Sony Walkman. And inside you put a cassette. Some of you may not know what a cassette is. Sony invented mobile music. When this came out, before you had to listen to music in your house or in your office. You couldn't move with music. This enabled you to go to the park and listen to music. It was fantastic. But the problem was you could only listen to the music that you carried with you. And then a Swedish gentleman called Daniel Ek, who discovered Spotify, he thought, well, what about reimagining the business model? I want all music all the time. Of course, technology improved, but he reimagined the business model, and of course, Sony is no longer in the mobile music business, reimagining the business model. I don't know, anybody guess what this is? It's difficult for you to call out. This is a room in 1940. It's a classroom. These is the world's first computers. The world's first computers were humans, and they would process problems manually. This was in 1930s, 1940s. This is Alan Turing. He was a British scientist, the father of AI, some people say. And his automation, he automated this with his computer. So this is arguably the world's first AI, 1942. Over 80 years ago, we had AI, 80 years ago. So I think David mentioned that maybe 80%, 90% of AI projects are not so successful. This graph from, I think, BCG, it shows on the right-hand side 2023, on the left-hand side 2024. Red is in production, gray is POCs. We can see the gray bars increasing for AI POCs. After 80 years, we are still not seeing the benefit of AI yet in our business. So we are repeating the same mistakes we did with steam and electricity and with the other technologies I mentioned. Now, moving on to our industry, what's the future of our industry? Is it like this? Maybe not. The screen is round the other way. I asked AI what is the future of our industry? He hasn't got a sleeve on his jacket, so maybe it'll be something different. I'm going to talk about my company, Dai-ichi Life. We think in order to realize the benefit of technology and AI, we put digital and AI at the middle of our business strategy. We also focus on intangibles, so we have staff development programs to teach our staff about AI. We hire experts from academia and technology companies, and we focus on not just using the same processes, but eliminating the processes. We're also in the middle of reimagining our organization and changing how we do business. And we have started a new venture building arm. These are areas where we're focused on AI. As Teresa mentioned, some of these areas in underwriting. This is one of the areas, the biggest areas of friction for us, onboarding customers, claims processing, and general productivity. This is one example of where we have automated our sales in Japan. And in Japan, many of our life planners are retiring because of aging. So all of the experience is leaving the company. And we use this digital buddy to listen to customer conversations. So the life planner can ask the digital buddy for help about products, about processes, and this augments the sales process. So to conclude, I don't think technology is useless. Of course I don't. I'd be out of a job if it was useless. But when we have new technology, we should make sure we do not forget the intangibles. Adapt, build new business models as Steve Jobs did, as Spotify did. Don't forget to train your talent so that your staff understand how to use the technology. Reimagine your processes like the steam factory. You can't expect to use the same processes for new technology and get huge productivity gains. And finally, think about how you work together, your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen, for your inspiring keynote. Please stay with us on the stage, as now we're moving on to the Q&A session. 大家好，我是国泰金控的嘉维。那很感谢大家很踊跃的提问呢。我们从线上还有实体的 QR code 都收到了蛮多大家各式各样的提问。那有些可能是从产业面，或者是比较业务面，甚至连技术面的提问都有。所以接下来会由我这边来跟 Stephen 做提问，这样。My name is Jia Wei. I'm from Cathay Financial Holdings, and we have collected some questions. Actually, a lot of questions online, and we will be selecting a few of them to share with you. So Stephen, the first question is, with emerging technologies evolving so quickly, how do you decide which new technologies are worth long-term investment and which may be short-lived trends?
So there's so much happening every single week, so much technology coming out, and we can't possibly stay ahead of all of it. So what we try to do, we have a group, we have a centralized innovation fund, and the fund is to fund new ideas. So staff can come and present their ideas to us, and if they want to try it out for some small sum of money, they can go and experiment with it. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. They can try again. So I think the key is to keep trying out lots and lots of ideas and to keep experimenting. Try to keep the experiments as small as possible, which reduces the risk and means that you can iterate and pivot to another idea. And often the ideas are not complete failures. They just need us to pivot to try something slightly different. So this is how we approach and try to take advantage of new technologies.
Thank you, Stephen. That was a very useful point. So the next question would be, what mindset or leadership changes do you think the most important for an insurance company to keep the tech transformation going?
In insurance, especially life insurance, we are a very, very old industry. And our products are long tenure. So we have products that are 30, 40 years, universal life. We have huge in-force blocks. And for the last 20, 30 years, we have enjoyed a lot of success. And in life business, actually, it's such a magic business. You can stop selling, and you can still earn premiums from your in-force. So this means you become a little complacent, and you can think, oh, I don't need to change. I don't need to use this new technology. I get all of these premiums coming in from my in-force. So why do I need to change? So what I say to our business leaders is look at other industries. Look at the development of mobile technology. Look at the development of mobile music. Look at how electricity disrupted steam. Look outside of your industry to see how fast things are moving. I'll give you an example. Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb, these are all platform businesses. These are agency businesses. These businesses, as you heard earlier from Teresa, with agentic AI, they are going to be facing a huge disruption because we won't need intermediaries. We will have an agent who can go and select the hotels for us or book flights for us. And if we look outside of our industry to this kind of industry, we think about our agencies. How might agentic AI impact our intermediary businesses? And so to get new ideas, to take us away from this, how can I say, comfort zone, look outside of our industry and look for new ideas away from insurance, even away from financial services. And that might give us ideas on new organizations and ways of working.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for your sharing. And due to our limited time, I'm afraid the next one will be our last question. So the last question is, from your experience at Dai-ichi Life, what strategy has proven most effective in modernizing the legacy system without disrupting ongoing operations and customer trust?
Yeah, that's a very simple question. So some of our technology is older than me. It dates, we have mainframes. We have customers who are over 100 years old, and they are still alive. And so this is a very, very sensitive area for us to change. And actually, the best strategy we've adopted is not related to new technology. The best strategy we've adopted is related to education of our staff And education of our staff means explaining how the new technology works. So we have sessions with executives where anybody can come. So I talk about technology and explain the impacts of technology to other industries and educate our executives and our leaders in how to use the technology for them to reimagine these kinds of legacy processes. I don't think I can reimagine the processes because they are the experts. So in a nutshell, the simple answer would be education of the talent of your staff, making sure your staff understand how to use, if you're deploying some kind of LLM, do they understand what an LLM is? Do they understand the basis of it? Do they understand how to use tools such as Microsoft Copilot, if you are a Microsoft Copilot user? Do they have use cases? And so we spend a lot of time on educating our staff. We've established an AI community across the globe, not just in Japan, but around all of our markets, where we can exchange ideas on use cases. So talent development and education, I think, can really help to replace the legacy processes and technology.
Thank you, Stephen, for your very insightful sharing. Let's give a big round of applause for Stephen. Thank you.
掌声，谢谢 Stephen， 我们也谢谢嘉伟，谢谢两位带来这么精彩的分享。